Thanks, bro. Alright, hold it. No higher, no higher, no higher, no higher. Oh, he gone.
Welcome to Flyin High with Cam.
Yayo.
A podcast where I combine two things I love.
This is insane.
Interviewing the most successful people I know.
You're the baddest guy in town.
While flying helicopters.
Engine failure.
Fly with me. I want to hear your stories, learn from your experiences, and build a community. This is Flying High with Cam.
I want to talk about, well, first your story, man. How old are you and how did you get into combat and the things that you're doing right now?
So I turned 40 in November, so I'll be 41 this year. And my background's in the military, so I joined in 2006. I'm kind of almost at my 20-year mark.
Yeah.
I bounced around some branches, so I started in the Navy. And my background there is with Naval Special Warfare. So I was a tech or a support guy with the East Coast SEAL teams. And my job specifically was a Master at Arms. So I just, I basically volunteered for anything and everything I possibly could. I took training very seriously with the SEAL teams because I wasn't a SEAL myself. But I wanted to add value to the team. I wanted to learn the stuff that they needed me to know so that I could do my job being deployed overseas. Somewhere like this. Like, this is very similar to what Afghanistan looks like. Yeah. I always compared it to Arizona. A lot of places in the Middle East are very, very similar to Arizona.
Like the terrain, the weather, just all of it.
Yeah, a lot of it. Like, people think Afghanistan's just like a big desert. It's similar to Arizona. I think it's a big desert. But you go up to Flagstaff, you're in the snow.
Really?
That mountain's what, like 12,000 feet? Some of the things that we were at in Afghanistan were 14,000 feet covered in snow. Some of it was really low desert like this.
Yeah.
You know, just wide array depending on where you're at in the country. But yeah, as far as military goes, that's what I did. And I was just a big volunteer. I volunteered for every single class, every deployment, every training, every school I could possibly go to.
Yeah.
I took training and shooting and everything very, very seriously because the last thing I wanted to do was be deployed somewhere for real with the guys and not be looked at as an asset. I wanted to be the guy that someone could say, yeah, that guy's reliable.
Yeah.
We can have him out in a village. You know, it's not like a big military. Some places were a big military base, but where I was particularly were villages in the middle of nowhere. They're called village stability platforms, which is where you just kind of live with the locals. And I managed 7 or 8 of those between our area of responsibility. And yeah, I just got very, very close with the team and made a lot of good friends and colleagues that I work with today. And guys that are just friends for the rest of my life that can always be counted on. And I don't know, it's just a really good brotherhood.
How long did it take to kind of earn that respect? You know, they say on like sports teams, the rookies kind of get the brunt of it. Is it kind of like that at the beginning?
Yeah, I would say so, because also not being a SEAL, so like you show up as a new guy, as a SEAL, you're still kind of like on, you still got to prove yourself.
Yeah.
But then being a support guy, you're kind of viewed as your job or whatever, that's the support guy thing. So I really wanted to work super hard. Like if we had a range day, I'd grab the ammo cans and sprint from one side to the other and like make sure it's delivered, make sure that weapons are clean, make sure that I'm tactically and technically proficient so that if I ever am needed, because we're our own response. You're living in a village and you got some team guys, you got some support guys, and that's all you got.
Yep.
So I would say the length of time it took is a couple of range days, maybe like a month, because we would do a deployment workup. We'd do that together. And so the guys kind of get a feel for you.
Yeah. As
your work ethic and how you roger up for things. And so I always wanted to make that a really big point so that they knew, like, no matter what, this guy's good, Devin's good, Devin's adding value.
Yeah.
And that's what I try to do in pretty much everything outside of the military too, just in everyday life, professional life. They hire us for a job. They know beyond a shadow of a doubt that it's going to get done by any means necessary, and that's kind of the attitude I like to bring to it.
On your Instagram, at the top it says, "We create options." What does that mean?
Yeah, so we create options is our official motto.
Okay.
So my company's called Method Endeavors, and we hire a bunch of people from the special operations community, not just SEALs, but guys that are from Special Forces in the Army, Ranger Regiment, Air Force, Marine Corps, Special Operations, anything, intelligence service, and then specialized law enforcement units. So that kind of goes to what I was saying before about adding value. Like when you are faced with something where you have absolutely no option, you don't know any way out, whether that be rescue, whether that be recovery, whether that be personal protection or a detail that you're going to a country or somewhere that's unfamiliar.
Yeah.
We want to be the ones that have the options. So you either have options available to you or you got to create them. And so that's where I kind of came up with we create options. Whatever it is that you need done, we have options to facilitate and solve that issue, whatever that challenge or that problem is.
How do you get, like, I can't think of a better team you could have than, for your business than a SEAL team operator. Like, how do you even get plugged into obviously you, but like, how would a guy like me that's saying, hey, I want to create this service business and I want SEAL teams on my team, like, how do you even get plugged in with those guys?
A lot of it nowadays, I don't know all of the answers. I can talk from just kind of like my personal experience in networking and stuff.
Yeah.
A lot of the guys, you're seeing stuff on social media. Like you were telling me before we started this that like you kind of doubled down and went all in on social media. I think that people can go down the wrong route and just go into like endless scrolling and not being productive, or maybe like talking bad about people, or negative review, like bringing some type of negativity. People complain about that all the time. But I just kind of shifted my viewpoint and said, I had a business mentor, which we can talk about like further down the line, I guess, who's like, you do some pretty cool stuff. But none of the stuff we ever had was like public, or we never shared it on social media, no pictures, no video, whatever.
Yeah.
Because some of the things that we do are sensitive. But he said, some of the stuff that you do that's just kind of action-packed and people like to see, you should have social media. You should be sharing that and showing it.
Yeah.
So I think for you to get connected with guys in the special operations community, like saying not from a military background, a lot of it's social media. Like you'll see people posting things, you'll look at their company, you'll look at their website and just say, hey, this is something that I'm trying to do. And you'll get introduced to them one way or another. I've met some of the coolest people, some of the best friends I've ever had, some of the coolest business relationships and everything because of social media, and I think using it in a positive way. And I think that's one way, at least, it would be useful to go about it. Because people see you, see what you're doing. And if you say, hey guys, I'm trying to do this, or I'd like to get connected to XYZ person, some person somewhere knows. I happen to know people because I served with them, or they were people that guys that I served with knew.
Yeah.
That's how we do some of the operations that we do. We need guys that are kind of squared away. Not just they've ticked this box and they've completed this school and this course and now they have this label.
Right.
Like they've earned this thing, whether it be the Trident or the Green Beret or whatever. We also need guys that, when faced with things where they don't have like a road book, they don't have a left seat, right seat thing. Like you learn how to fly because you went through each stage of the step, and Cam helped you out, and you didn't just do it by yourself and be like, oh, here's a helicopter.
Right.
Let's forget. What does this thing do? Like, oh,
that'd be scary.
Right? So you find that in any job, whether it's law enforcement or special operations, most of the time you have someone as a mentor that has done it before.
Yep.
That has kind of shown you the way. Same with deployment. When you go to a deployment, you have a team that's already there on the ground that has been there for the past 9 months. You kind of learn from what they're doing, you adopt their sources, and you make their contacts, and you kind of learn the way that they've been doing business.
Yeah.
And then you go off to it. Well, some jobs, especially now on the private side, if we do work for other governments or other industries, let's say, there are certain times where there is no team on the ground. There's no answer to that question. They just have, what's your desired end state? And we need to be the ones that can figure it out, which I guess goes into the creating options part.
Yeah.
And that's something that I look for having guys that can think on the fly without having a road book on how to get there. I would like to trust them and their capability, like, hey, I need some ideas, let's try and figure this out. Maybe it's a good idea, maybe it's not, but if you can contribute and add value to that, that's kind of what I'm looking for. And I think that, I don't know, I think that that's kind of hard to find sometimes.
It's fascinating because the more that I consult businesses and the more that I break it down and analyze it, it all comes down to SOPs. And so when I ask about like an operator, no matter where you served in the military, I feel like the government is very strategic with exactly how to do something. Right. And, you know, essentially like how to train on it, like showing people how to do it. And then there's the accountability factor of it. And so when we talk about teams, I, read Jocko Willing's book about the rule of 7, where they say, hey, don't manage more than 7 people, because what they found is that on the SEAL teams is when you have more than 7 people, lives start to get lost and communication starts to get broken down. And so absolutely. I told you before this that I wanted to talk about teams because there's a lot of entrepreneurs that are out there listening, and a lot of people might hear that and say, oh, it's really expensive to hire a manager for every 7 people that you have. And I'm telling people, like, you literally can't afford not to do it. And so do you have any experience That's with awesome. Your background with what you've done on like times where you've been over that 7? And there's some people that say 6 and some people that say 8, but it's like, at least Jocko's at 7, and that's what I kind of rode with. What have you found with communication and leadership in that sense?
Yeah, I think that's actually a really good rule of thumb, or rule of 7, I guess. Was that from Extreme Ownership?
Yeah.
Or was that a different?
Yep.
Okay, yeah. I really like the straightforward approach of that book. I read it a number of years ago, and I guess as far as our teams, that does make a lot of sense, and it can be up in the air because it's not very consistent with the type of jobs that we get. Sometimes it's a protective detail and I need at least 2 guys.
Yeah.
That also depends on the client and who wants to pay. Sometimes they want just 1 guy.
Yeah.
I'll give you an example for something we did the past couple years when the Ukraine war started. We needed to rescue people who were all around that country and get them to safety because their cities were being attacked, their towns, whatever. Their
Ukraine,
family.
like last year when all this was going down.
Yeah, at the beginning of 22.
Okay.
So we went there end of February, like a week or 2 after the war started.
Wow.
The other war started. There was another one in 2014.
What's that like going over there? I want you to tell this story, but like, how nervous are you? Are you excited because you've been like training for the past 10 years for this? And you're like, dude, I finally get, not like finally, but like, dude, I've been training for this. I'm ready. This is my championship.
Yes.
Or is it nerves? Is it everything? Are you puking on the way over?
I think it's everything combined. And I think it goes into like that type of person, because again, it's not only that you've earned the Green Beret or that you've earned the SEAL Trainer or whatever. Like, that is a specific, some of the guys, they know their spot, which is like, I am meant to destroy.
Yeah.
I'm meant to go in there into this room with bad guys and kill everybody in the room and then leave.
Yeah.
Certain jobs require certain other skill sets. But to answer your question, me personally, when we were hired to do that, I get very, very excited when things are very chaotic and like we don't know the answer, we just know that it has to get done, and it kind of like falls on me where I'm stressing out, calling people like, hey, we need you to be on a bird. We were on the ground in like 18 hours.
Wow.
And that was with 12
Literally
people.
Your cell phone rings, they're like, you're going to Ukraine, get your stuff together.
Yeah, so it almost exactly like that. Essentially, I had a person that I met through another job that I did, which was kind of networking and business.
Yep.
I ran a protective detail for a guy that is in the space and rocket industry. And one of his investors, or a good friend of his, was wondering who I was and then reached out to me. And then he wanted to know about shooting guns and buying guns and all that, because we're a dealer manufacturer as well.
Yeah.
So anybody that wants to purchase firearms or learn how to use them, we do that. Well, that guy has another business partner who has a lot of employees in Ukraine at the time. And it's like, hey, look, we need to get these people out.
Wow.
We have no idea how we're going to do it. But we heard through this guy that you guys can do that. That you've done stuff like that before.
Is this your company, or is this through the government? What is this?
This is through our company.
Wow.
Yeah, so
it has
this is
nothing
all
to do with the
private.
government.
Has nothing to do with the government. In fact, and that's something that maybe you could you could probably get in trouble for everything at any moment if somebody wanted to scrutinize you. But one of the things is people ask, like, well, did you talk to the State Department? Did you ask this and did you do this and get clearance? And we're like, no, look, I mean, I'm sure we could have, and you probably know this as well as anybody. Like, if you're asking permission on things, the easiest answer in the world is no, you can't do that, because it limits their liability. It pushes them off.
Right.
It's easy to just say, oh, instead of answering the question or really understanding how to accomplish something, they'll just say no.
Yep.
So when I get asked that, I'm like, we could have.
Yeah.
We could have gone through that and asked, but you wouldn't have gotten done.
Yep.
Like, you don't have time. You don't have time to
so
do
you're
that.
going over there. Like, can you bring all your guns? Can you bring, like...
No. It depends on the country. Depends on the country and depends on what you're hired to do. So we were going over there extremely low visibility. We weren't going over there as...
Which means no guns? What is low...
No guns. Yeah.
Low visibility means no guns.
No guns and no, like, presence of, like, police, like, vests or like anything saying, oh, we're American, whatever. Now, we show our passports, and we had 12 guys.
12 guys, okay.
Yeah, so we had guys come from all over the country, and it becomes this networking word of mouth. It was either one guy who's like he's the COO of the company. His name is Eric. He's a SEAL, former sniper, former everything you could ever imagine. Like, we always make the joke, like, any famous SEAL that you've probably seen, he's put through BUDS, because he was a BUDS instructor as well.
Okay.
And I met him originally in Afghanistan in 2011, 2012, and we become extremely good friends. And so he kind of helped me start the company, and him and I were basically in charge of hiring all the guys to accomplish the job.
Wow.
And they were either people that he served with, I served with, word of mouth people that they got, like, vouched for, and we brought them all to Poland. We were on a bird, and we went to Warsaw, and we just kind of formulated from there. We had teams of guys, teams of 2 in Slovakia, Romania, Poland, and then a couple of us went into Ukraine. And that's that's probably a whole podcast in itself, is like figuring out how to get somewhere when everybody tells you can't. We had rental cars that in Poland they said, you're not allowed to use this or whatever. And we just drove in and said, no, it's fine. It's good. Just kind of like talk to people. We're just like, no, it's cool. See, here's a stamp on the passport. We've already been in the country. We're going out, we're bringing supplies. We're doing this.
Yeah. How many people are you going to get? Those 12 people are going to get how many?
So it ended up being around 100 people that we got out of the country between 2 companies that hired us for the exact same mission. So this was a private organization that had, let's say, their employees who are very tech-savvy people. And they are much better use to their country, to the company, to everything, doing their job, which is kind of like cybersecurity and computer stuff, rather than, hey, here's a gun, go into a ditch type thing.
Jeez.
And so we got all of them out of the country in several different means. Some of them walking, some of them driving, some of them in hidden compartments and things that we arranged.
What?
See how detailed I want to go, but vehicles with spaces that you can't see, let's say.
Because they're just trying to keep everyone in. They don't want anyone leaving.
They're trying to keep everyone in. Yeah, women and children that are fine. They leave every day. I got videos of just lines and lines from here to the base of that mountain, just cars and people and everything walking with supplies trying to get out of the country.
And they'll let them leave.
They'll let them leave. Yeah.
Why the women and the children, but not the guys?
Because the men are drafted. They're conscripted. Is anywhere from the age of 18 to 60 or 16 to 60, I believe.
Yeah.
So they don't want them.
16 to 60.
Yeah, they don't want them leaving.
Wow.
So there's little offices around the country, everywhere, where if you're seen out and you're seen outside and you haven't got your conscription papers or you're not on their roster, they'll ask questions. So it became very difficult to, like, move around the country as well.
Yeah.
Because everywhere you go at that time, there were checkpoints everywhere.
What would have happened if you guys got caught? hauling people out?
I don't know. I guess something.
It's like, is that ignorance is bliss or what, man? You didn't want to know?
Well,
I mean, there's
yeah,
no
I mean,
way.
I'm sure that there's consequences for anything, but my viewpoint and the guys that we were with was kind of like, hey, look, this is volunteer. You are getting paid, because that's one thing I believe in. Like, we've done stuff for the past 20 years, which is good. Everybody signed up. Everybody wanted to do this and volunteer to do their job and go to war and fight and just kind of see, like, what they can accomplish. But at a certain degree, they've been doing it for so long with not a lot of pay whatsoever compared to the risk they're taking.
Right.
One of my biggest mission statements, anything that we hire any guys to do, is they get paid extremely well.
Yeah.
Anything inside the U.S. is $500 to $1,000 a day if it's a protective detail or something. And then anything outside of the U.S. is $1,000 to $2,000 a day. And that's what we ended up paying the guys, is $2,000 a day.
Wow.
For a little over a month. And if that's something that the company itself doesn't make a profit on, or very little profit on, that's fine, because I want the guys to be paid extremely well for stuff that they're doing. And it's a volunteer basis. So I'm like, hey, look, here's kind of what we're facing.
Yeah.
You can probably... There's a couple guys that we sent home in this process too, because we found out, like, we're trying to solve problems and they're kind of, well, you got to think about this and you got to worry about this, and, you know, this could happen and that could happen. And we got that. Me and Eric understood, and me and John understood, like...
Those are your business partners?
Yes. So
okay.
Eric is our COO, and John is... John's... I don't know if you met John yet, but
okay.
He's our director of training. He came from Ranger Regiment, so he was with me there as well.
Cool.
And he's a local to Arizona. So we're trying to solve problems, and anybody in the world, in any team that you're at, whether it's business or law enforcement, military, professional, whatever, any team, there's someone that can get on every single plan.
Yep.
And say, you know, I know a million ways you can't do something or can't accomplish something. I need to figure out how we can get it done.
Right.
So there could have been some legal consequences. I mean, at one point we kind of got arrested. And then they found out who we were and just kind of, we just talked.
Yeah.
It happened to be a spot where we were trying to penetrate the borders. It was an area kind of like this, where one side was Poland, one side was Ukraine.
Oh, wow.
And we were just like, we walked up to a fence and there's signs there, and I was like, I can't read this language, so walked in and just kind of like played dumb with it.
Are they fearful of the Americans, like what could happen, or no? Is that kind of why they let you go, or?
Yes, at the beginning. Now, there's a lot of Americans and foreigners serving in the military there right now, just trying to help out. So they're very like, I guess, grateful and happy that we're there helping them. Because some of the things, you know, you can always see negative stuff or certain sides or opinions on the news, but it's a little bit different when you're actually there and just seeing what people are going through.
Right.
So initially, they were very nervous because they had gotten under attack. They got invaded. This was, you know, February, March time frame of 22.
Yep.
And so every single spot, that bridge is a checkpoint, around the corner is a checkpoint, the next one's a checkpoint.
Really?
Barriers and everything. So passport. They see a blue passport. Okay, what are you doing here?
Wow.
Maybe you're a Russian spy, maybe you're whatever. So they don't know. They have no idea. So that's what happened. We everybody in the little neighborhood is like, okay, who are these freaking group of dudes in this little white rental car? Because they know their neighborhood. They know that's like, that ain't my freaking car. That ain't whoever's, you know.
Yeah, those guys aren't built from around here. What was your scariest time behind, like, enemy lines? When were you the most fearful?
I mean, I guess, like, there are some times that we were, I guess recently one of the things in Ukraine, like a really scary sound, is artillery fire.
Yep.
Mortar fire. Artillery has a very scary sound. And that's something where you don't know, like, what's going to happen. Afghanistan, it's all kind of scary, I guess, because you're living like right there, and in these valleys there's Taliban there. In these villages, there's Taliban there, and so there's a number of our villages that got attacked and indirect fire. So you'd have these like Chinese or Russian mortars or artillery shells and small arms fire, whatever. I guess that's kind of scary. I didn't get into any like crazy direct action firefights. Like that's something that a lot of guys have way more experience than I do. But I think all of it is a little bit like you're there. It's real.
Yeah.
I'd say one of the scariest thing actually, the first day, we're in a helicopter, but this is great. So the first day I got to Afghanistan, we were in a CH-47, which is that dual prop helicopter, like a school bus.
So cool.
Super cool. And we're flying low, and we're kind of in like valleys like this, and we're trying to stay low, from what I understand. I don't know, I'm a new guy. I just I'm showing up there. So we're on this big school bus with freaking 20 or 30 guys going to somewhere. From Kandahar is where we started, and we were going to this place called Tarin Kowt, which is maybe 30 minutes away. It's kind of where the Special Operations base in southeast Afghanistan is. And we're flying normal, and then all of a sudden, the bird just starts going like really big, like G-force, like up, and then I'm lifting out of my seat and falling down and going way down, just like this crazy dragon freaking. I'm like, what the hell's going on? Like hanging on this. There's nothing you could do.
Yeah.
And you hear the guns. There's the door gunners just going off.
No way.
We're like, what the hell's going on, dude? And I'm with my buddy Dan. He's a SEAL. He's good friends like through the network of one of my buddies that I went to boot camp with. And we just started bullshitting. We got on the ground. Finally, it was cool. This happened for maybe 10 minutes. And we're just going up and down. I'm like, okay, cool. First day in Afghanistan, see zero combat, see nothing whatsoever, and it's over.
Here you are.
Case closed. See you later. Sayonara. Yeah. So.
Are you buckled in?
You have a little seat belt.
You have a little seat.
Yeah, you got a little. So
strap,
I'm like floating up in my seat, kind of. Yeah, just like this, just a little clip. And you're on a net. You're on this like weird net, cargo net thing, sitting down. And yeah,
so
we were
people
just
are firing at you, and you're coming up. You're coming down.
Yeah, people were firing from either on side of the mountain, or the door gunners were just kind of like showing a presence of force going through a certain dangerous area.
Dang.
So we land, finally, everything's cool, and that happened for maybe 10 minutes. I was like, holy shit. And Dan is like, dude, I've been on 1,047s, on 1,000,000 flights. Like, I've never done that in my whole life.
Like, I'm glad I could be part of it.
Yeah. So, and that wasn't even, I mean, I guess it was combat situation, but there's nothing we could do. We're just along for the ride. That was probably the scariest thing I've been a part of.
Yeah.
Outside of that, like, there's always a case where I guess in combat of some kind where you could lose your life, but that's kind of, you think in the moment that's kind of your decision, like you at least have some say in it.
Right.
Whereas you don't really have any say if there's an RPG coming at the bird and the pilot's doing anything that he can, the door gunners are doing anything they can. You're kind of, it's out of your hands, and that's a little hard to deal with.
So you have this huge following on Instagram, and a lot of it's like all about your training. You're training day in and day out. Talk to us about training, the importance of it, and obviously in business and life, like, and how it's blessed you as in your field of expertise to train every single day, and the confidence it brings.
Cool. Yeah. So on Instagram, that's kind of what I like to show a lot of. We've gotten a lot of business and really good clients from that.
Yeah.
Going back to my friend who's like, yo, bro, you guys do some cool stuff.
Yeah,
at least the stuff that you can talk about, like, show it.
Yep.
Show it. Somebody's interested. So, yeah, I definitely take training very seriously. That's something that stuck with me from learning from the guys. Like, I wanted to absorb everything I could from guys who did it day in, day out. I went into the shoot house. I took that seriously. I took every single decision and lesson learned. I took that very seriously because friends of mine or friends of guys that I served with lost their life to learn that lesson.
Yep.
So I think training is a really, really big thing in any field that you're in. We happen to be talking about firearms and tactics because that's part of what my business does. But training your craft, honing your skills, getting good at what it is you do, I think is all a part of being supremely capable. But as far as our business, I like the training aspect. It's something that I get a lot of joy from.
Yep.
I like shooting. I like pushing myself. I like adding a timer to something where it goes, man, I see somebody on Instagram or I see somebody else who's another trainer I respect do something in that's a little bit faster, a little more accurate or something, and I try to better myself learning that.
Yeah.
And I think all the students that come to our courses, we try to, so we have courses for civilians. We teach a lot of law enforcement units. We teach a lot of military units, specifically with regard to active shooter. That's something that we do together with Jamie. We run an active threat lab, is what we call it. And we just teach people how to respond, because a lot of times now it's not, I would say 99% of the time, it's not a SWAT team that is responding to an active shooter somewhere. If you're in Chipotle, if you're in freaking Panera Bread, if you're at a school, somebody walks in with a gun and just starts shooting, what are you going to do about that?
Right.
And if you're not capable and you're not confident in your skill set, there's nothing you're going to do about that except maybe hopefully get the hell out of there.
Well, that's the thing Jamie said, like most of the time it's too late. Like by the time they arrive, like everything's happened. It's done.
So we want to take it seriously and train the patrol officer or the everyday citizen. Anybody can protect themselves or others.
Yeah.
Anybody has the capability, you're allowed to. I think that in my personal instance, like what I feel deeply is like if I have the ability to do something, if I have the skill set, or maybe I've been trained a certain way to do it, I also have the obligation to respond. I feel like if I'm not walking around carrying concealed, then I am not being responsible.
Wow.
That's just my personal thought. You know, everybody has their own thing, but I just think if you've been trained a certain way and that you feel confident reacting to certain situations, you have the responsibility to do that. You have the responsibility for your family, your friends, your fellow human beings, you know?
Have you found a good, so I used to carry a lot, but I stopped as my kids got a little bit older because I didn't feel like I had one truck where there was a safe in the center console and it was, you know, I could lock it.
Yeah.
But then in my new truck, they didn't have a good safe for it. So it was kind of for me, hey, I don't want to take this chance of my kid grabbing this gun. I'll take the chance of something happening and I'm not carrying, you know? Is there something out there that's a quick release, but also like a good locking mechanism, to where you can have it in the cars around your kids? Obviously the best thing would be train your kids, but if they're younger, then what do you do in that scenario?
So there's a lot of really good companies out there. The one that I see most recently that has quick access but it's secure is a company called Stopbox.
Stopbox?
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't have any affiliation with them. I just keep seeing the ads, and a lot of people that I know and respect and that I know personally use it, but it's basically a safe. It doesn't need any electronics or biometrics or anything, but it has a quick like hand button press code.
Okay.
That there's like 90 or 100 different combinations it could be.
Yeah.
So you can have it on your desk at work, you can have it in your truck, you can have it in your center console, you can have it whatever, and you just kind of you go to grab it and it opens.
I like that.
And you can have it loaded, unloaded, whatever. The number one thing that I suggest for anybody is like carry concealed on your person, not like where you have to reach it, where like you said, where your kids can grab it or something like that. Is because if it's on you, no one should really know, in my opinion. Nobody should know that you're carrying.
Yeah.
Unless we're talking about it openly, like, hey, do you carry every day? Yeah, whatever.
Yeah.
But nobody should know. I don't think it should be like something that somebody could see where I carry a big thing on my hip or whatever.
Yeah.
Like, I'm just wearing board shorts, whatever. Or I'm just wearing a t-shirt.
Like,
whatever.
where's your gun at right now?
Right here.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it shouldn't be anything that anyone sees or knows of, because I want to be able to react as fast as I possibly can. And in a dangerous situation, that is what you're doing. You are not the one making the movement, unless like you're on a direct action team and you're there to do a raid.
Yep.
You are always, police officers, civilians, anybody there, you are always reacting. So I want to give myself the highest technical and tactical advantage I can. But as far as like, if you're not carrying it on you, a stop box is a pretty damn good way to go, because it's not going to run out of batteries. You're not going to be like, what was the code again? Oh shit. You just kind of like grab it, open it, and then you're good.
I love it, man. Well, before we wrap up here, you brought a little toy with you on the ground here.
I did.
What is this?
So I brought a couple things. One is this is our company coin, or our unit coin. It has our company logo on one side of it, and then it has the main logo on the other side, but it has emblems or symbols from all of the branches that we hire from. So you have, and kind of how I started the company. So you have represented from the SEAL teams, the Special Forces crest, the Marine Corps Eagle, Globe, and Anchor, and the Ranger Regiment's DUI. At the top in gold, you have our unofficial motto is kind of hidden in there.
Yeah.
The numerals are some of the units and teams that I've served with. So one is Team 10, because I was on the East Coast, so I served with SEAL Team 10 and SEAL Team 2. And then inside of here you have a V, an I, and a G. And our unofficial motto is violence is golden. So we don't put that on
Yeah, if you know, you know.
If you know, you know. And then at the bottom is our official motto in Latin, which is we create options, which was you talked about before. So I got 3 coins for you guys.
Dang, man.
And then the other thing that I think is pretty cool is we did this collab between between our company and one called Half Face Blades. They make like really badass custom blades.
Yeah.
And this is their tomahawk.
So sick.
On this side it has our logo. And this is like an acid splash blade work on the head of it. And then it's got Half Face Blades logo. But this is like a hefty tool that you can use, one for defense, whatever. I mean, it has belt. You can put it on there. Basically just undo the bungee. If you have it on your belt, like you're out camping, you're out whatever.
Yeah.
Undo the bungee and then pull down. And it comes straight out. And then you have a little bit of an entry tool here, which is very robust. It's all the way down the side here, these G10 grips. You can put this inside of a door frame or something, pop it open. So like Jamie
you guys sell these on your website or what?
No, we don't. We kind of give them away as gifts. We did a collaboration between us and a lot of the guys that went to Ukraine. So we have 2 different versions. We did this and a version of the Fairbairn Sykes fighting knife, which is that dagger that you see a lot of times in special operations.
Yeah.
Which is kind of like this dagger
Coins
here.
are so sick, dude.
So yeah, they're super hefty. The same company that made them, the ones that I got at our team originally.
Yeah.
And they just did a killer job, and I think it's one of the coolest coins I've seen. I'm biased, I guess.
Cool, dude. Thank you for coming up today. Thank you for all your service and everything that you've done, and
Thanks,
you continue to do, man. It's inspiring.
Thanks a lot, man.
You're the man. There's only one way to get you out of this helicopter, though, and I'm gonna push you out.
Okay, I'm down with that. Push me out.
You ready for this?
Ready, dude? You ready? Yeah. We're at 4,300 right now. We got about 700 feet. All right, guys. Thanks for the podcast. Appreciate it. Catch you on the ground. See you, brother.
Where's he at, man?
I don't know. It's hard to see, man. They're so. Oh, I see him. He's a beam. It's almost same altitude.
There he is.
She said I'm dumb, surrounded by strangers.